Hello, my name is Jennifer. I'm a youth advocate fellow. I want to introduce myself with some fun facts. I'm 25 years old. In my downtime, I love to crochet and going to the movies. I also hope hearing my experience can help you understand what it could be like to be a youth in foster care. Um, so for me, it all started when my mom passed away when I was 6, and my dad could not take care of me due to his alcoholism. So my dad's side of the family took me in, and I moved in with my aunt when I was 7. However, she was often too busy to pay any attention to me really, or watch me. So as a child, I would be out and about at night. But as an adult, I now know that that was neglect. I should have never been out at night by myself as a kid, especially often. So when I was 12, I decided to move in with my sister and her family. However, I quickly learned that her husband was mentally and physically abusive. I would vent to my best friend about what was going on, and she told her grandfather, who then called the police. That situation ended with me going to live with a cousin and her family. At the time, I was very depressed and struggling with self-harm. My cousin felt that she didn't really have the right resources or the time to help me, so I ended up moving back in with that same aunt. I did tell her about how my sister's husband was abusive, but she didn't believe me, and unfortunately, took his side. She became super cold and unfortunately sent me to live with my sister and her husband again. Things kept getting worse at home, so I eventually opted into foster care. I chose this not, I didn't choose this as a way to escape the abuse, at least not consciously. I chose it because I ended up believing all the horrible things he'd tell me, and I felt like a burden. So when I was 15, I was placed in a group home. I stayed in care for about 5 years. I stayed in that same group home until I went into a SILP placement or a supervised independent living placement. I entered foster care in a deep state of confusion. I was placed in that group home about 3 days at the assessment center. I was super quiet and laid low and stayed there for about 3 years. Life in a group home was like constantly living with strangers. There was commotion going on all around me. People were explosive, mean, and sometimes cops would come. So, I was nervous all the time. Unfortunately, I was not able to maintain a relationship with any of my family members, so I never had any visitors. I was so lonely, it felt like me against the world in that group home. There was no one to hug me and tell me it was going to be fine. I was in an I was in an institution with staff members. I was not in a home, but luckily, around the last 6 months of my stay at the group home, I received a new social worker who connected me to a CASA so that I could have a healthy connection to an adult outside of the group home. And a CASA, by the way, is a court-appointed special advocate. And, having that CASA, it made a huge difference. They would pick me up once a week to go on outings, all while they actively listened to my worries and fears surrounding what my life could look like after care. And having them supporting me during this time and after the group home, it made a huge difference. I mean, it made me feel as if I wasn't always alone, as if it wasn't always me against the world. Um, yeah, well, being in a group home setting was very difficult at times. There were things the staff did for us to, provide support, like celebrate our birthdays and holidays. They'd also take us on outings every once in a while and encourage us to build our life skills. The staff also had a calendar up in the kitchen with different events listed. This is actually how I started attending the independent living program. They have some workshops there sometimes, so that's this calendar was the whole reason I was aware of them. They taught me how to use public transportation and also helped me get a green card. The staff also really encouraged us to do chores for an allowance. And, while they provided some support in different ways, there were some things I wish they had done differently. Um, it would have been nice if the group home staff also helped us to learn to make relationships, but they mostly just intervened when there were fights and didn't really support us in making good relationships with each other. Um, I also wish the staff had paid more attention to my education. I truly felt like I had fallen through the cracks because they were not making sure I was on track to graduate. Lastly, I wish I could have been given a CASA sooner so I could receive more one-on-one guidance. Ultimately, I'm grateful for what the staff did provide, but I hope sharing my experience can help you remember to check in with the youth about all different aspects of their lives, to check to see if they need any assistance, even when the youth seems like they don't need any help. But yeah, I just shared my background before foster care, so you're aware that, some kids, they have a lot of trauma or things that are not documented. Yeah, I hope this helps you understand what it could be like, just from my perspective anyway. Thank you.